Admiral Xander Thorne stood on the bridge of the Terran flagship Orion, gazing out at the vast expanse of stars. The inky void was broken only by the distant twinkle of suns and the looming shadows of the alien armada that had appeared without warning at the edge of the Sol system. "What's their status?" Thorne asked, his voice tight. No response to hails, Sir Comms Officer Jaina reported. They maintained position just outside lunar orbit. Thorne clenched his jaw. The sleek, obsidian ships were unlike anything Terran intelligence had encountered before. Their sudden arrival, coming on the heels of the mysterious destruction of the Terran outposts along the Kuiper Belt, had sent shockwaves through the upper echelons of the Terran Space Command. "Keep trying," Thorne ordered. "And get me Hawkins at Central Command," as Jaina worked to establish the link. Thorne's thoughts raced. The Terran fleet, while formidable, was scattered across the system, with a significant portion still days away from Earth. If these aliens had hostile intentions, Admiral Thorne, the holographic figure of General Alara Hawkins, shimmered into view, her face etched with concern. "What's your assessment?" "No overt aggression yet, but they're not responding to hails," Thorne reported. "Their ships are like nothing we've seen. Superior tech." From the looks of it, Hawkins's frown deepened. "The President is convening an emergency council. We need options." "Thorne, my recommendation. We stall for time. Try to open a dialogue while we gather our forces. If this turns south..." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the Orion's bridge. Sir Tactical Officer Kai shouted, "We're detecting energy spikes from the alien ships. They're ... they're opening fire." The view screen erupted in blinding flashes as the alien armada unleashed a barrage of energy bolts, tearing through space towards the unprepared Terran fleet. The Orion shuddered as its shields absorbed the first impact. "Evasive maneuvers," Thorne barked, gripping the command chair as the deck shook beneath him. All ships, return fire. The Terran vessels, though caught off guard, responded with a fury born of desperation. Missiles and energy beams lanced out towards the enemy, pitting the vanguard of humanity against an inscrutable alien foe. But it was a losing battle. The aliens' technology was vastly superior, their ships faster and their weapons more powerful. One by one, the Terran ships succumbed, hulls breached and crews lost to the pitiless void. "Sir, we can't hold them," Kai cried, his face illuminated by the glow of his tactical display. "They're cutting through us like a laser through butter." Thorne gritted his teeth, his mind racing. They couldn't win this, not with the forces they had. But perhaps... "Jaina, open a channel to the fleet," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos engulfing the bridge. "All ships, listen up. We can't beat them, not head-on, but we can buy time for Earth. On my mark, execute Directive Orion 7. There was a moment of stunned silence, broken only by the continued impacts against the Orion's straining shields. Directive Orion 7. A last-ditch contingency, born in the darkest corners of strategic planning. A sacrificial play. "Aye, sir," came the response, echoed by a dozen captains prepared to lay down their lives. Marked with a synchronicity born of desperate resolve, the remaining Terran ships swung about, engines flaring as they charged headlong towards the alien armada. Not in attack, but in a kamikaze run. The Orion led the charge, Thorne standing tall on its bridge as the view screen filled with the looming hulls of the alien ships. "It's been an honor," he said softly, his crew around him as the gap closed. At the last moment, the Terran ships scattered, each choosing a target. The Orion, aflame and failing, rammed the largest of the alien vessels, its reactor overloading in a sun-bright explosion. Across the battlefield, the other Terran ships followed suit, their sacrifices tearing holes in the alien formation. It wasn't enough to win, but it was enough to disrupt, to delay, to buy precious time for the forces back on Earth to prepare, to evacuate, to hope. In the heart of Terran Space Command, General Hawkins watched in silent awe as the Orion vanished in a conflagration of noble sacrifice. Around her, the command center erupted in a frenzy of desperate activity, the shock of the alien attack giving way to grim determination. They had a war to fight, a species to save. And though the road ahead was dark and uncertain, one thing was clear: humanity would not go gently into the night. They would rage, they would fight, they would make the stars themselves tremble. For in the face of annihilation, the human spirit, unyielding and indomitable, would be their greatest weapon, and the sacrifice of the Orion and her valiant crew would echo through the ages, a rallying cry for a species pushed to the brink. The war had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. As the remnants of the Terran fleet limped back to Earth, the scale of the loss became clear. The Orion and her sister ships were gone, their crews consigned to the void. But their sacrifice had bought precious time, a chance for humanity to regroup and prepare for the fight ahead. In the halls of power, the shock of the alien attack gave way to a grim resolve. The president, ashen-faced but determined, addressed the nation and the world. "We face an enemy unlike any we have encountered before," she said. Her voice carried on every frequency, to every corner of the planet. "An enemy that seeks our destruction, our annihilation. But we will not cower. We will not fade. We will stand, we will fight, and we will prevail." Around the globe, humanity mobilized. Factories retooled for war production, churning out ships and weapons at a fevered pace. Research facilities burned the midnight oil, scientists and engineers racing to unlock the secrets of the alien technology from the wreckage of the battle. And in the midst of it all, a new hero emerged. Commander Eliza Thorne, the daughter of the late Admiral Xander Thorne and the Orion's chief tactical officer. She had been groundside when the attack hit, watching helplessly as her father and crewmates made their fateful stand. Now, driven by a fierce determination to honor their sacrifice, Eliza threw herself into the war effort. Her tactical brilliance and innate leadership quickly earned her a place at the forefront of the Terran war machine. Under her guidance, the Terran fleet began to adapt, to evolve. New ships rolled off the production lines, sleeker and deadlier than their predecessors. Pilots trained in new tactics, learning to strike fast and hard, to use the aliens' own technology against them. And slowly, painfully, the tide began to turn. The alien advance slowed, then stalled, as the Terran fleet met them at every turn, trading blow for blow in a desperate struggle for survival. But the aliens were nothing if not adaptable. As the war ground on, they too began to change, their ships growing larger and more menacing, their weapons more destructive. Whispers began to circulate of a new alien flagship, a behemoth of unimaginable power that could shatter planets and snuff out stars. The Nemesis, they called it. And as reports of its devastating attacks began to filter back to Earth, a sense of dread settled over the Terran command. They needed a plan, a way to take the fight to the aliens and end this war once and for all. And Eliza Thorne had just the thing. "It's a gambit," she explained to the assembled war council, her eyes blazing with a fierce determination. "A daring strike at the heart of the alien command. We know they have a central nexus, a hub from which they coordinate their fleets. If we can take that out, it's suicide," General Hawkins said, shaking her head. "The Nemesis alone could destroy any fleet we send, not if we send the right fleet," Eliza countered. "A small, fast strike force, the best of the best. We slip past their lines, hit them where they're vulnerable, and get out before they know what's happening." "And who would lead this suicide mission?" the president asked, her eyes locked on Eliza. Eliza met her gaze unflinchingly. "I would. And I know just the ship to do it, in a secret shipyard. Hidden away in the asteroid belt, a new ship was taking form. The Orion A, a sleeker, deadlier incarnation of her namesake. Built from the ground up for speed and stealth, she was the embodiment of humanity's desperation and determination. As the Orion neared completion, Eliza assembled her crew. The best pilots, the sharpest minds, the bravest souls. Each one handpicked for their skills and their dedication to the cause. There was Kai, the tactical prodigy who had served with Eliza on the original Orion. Jaina, the unflappable comms officer with a knack for cracking alien encryptions. And then there was Zephyr, the enigmatic alien defector who had turned his back on his own kind to fight for humanity. Together, they were the tip of the spear, the last, best hope for victory. As the Orion slipped out of the shipyard and set course for the alien nexus, Eliza felt the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. The fate of humanity rested on this gambit, on the skills of her crew and the strength of their resolve. They struck like lightning, the Orion A's advanced stealth systems allowing them to slip past the alien pickets and into the heart of their territory. The nexus loomed before them, a massive structure bristling with defenses. But Eliza and her crew were ready. With Kai at the helm and Jaina working her magic on the comms, they danced through the alien fire, evading and striking with precise, deadly grace. Zephyr, his knowledge of alien systems invaluable, guided them to the nexus' vulnerable points. And when the moment came, Eliza gave the order to strike. The Orion A's weapons flared, cutting through the Nexus shields and striking deep into its core. Explosions bloomed across its surface as critical systems failed and chain reactions began to spread. But even as the Nexus crumbled, the Nemesis loomed out of the void, its weapons already charging. The Orion A, battered and depleted, turned to face this final challenge. "It's been an honor," Eliza said, echoing her father's final words as she looked around at her crew, at the determination and resolve etched on every face. And as the Nemesis fired, the Orion leapt forward, coaxing every last ounce of speed from her straining engines. They dodged and weaved, the Nemesis fire scorching their shields, pushing them to the brink. But they held on, drawing ever closer, until... Now Eliza cried, and Zephyr put a final, desperate command. The Orion A. Her reactor pushed to critical, rammed the Nemesis, her hull crumpling but her course true. And as the two ships erupted in a blinding flash of mutual destruction, the shockwave ripped through the alien fleet, sowing chaos and destruction. It was the turning point, the moment when the tide truly shifted. With their Nexus destroyed and their command in disarray, the aliens began to falter, to retreat, and humanity, seizing the moment, pressed the advantage. New fleets surged forward, driving the aliens back, liberating conquered worlds and lost colonies. The war would rage on for years, the battles fierce and the losses heavy. But in that moment, with the sacrifice of the Orion A and her valiant crew, victory became not just possible, but inevitable. And as the war finally ended, and humanity emerged, battered but unbroken, into a galaxy forever changed, the legend of Eliza Thorne and the Orion A would endure. A testament to the unyielding spirit of humanity and the power of hope in the face of the insurmountable. For in the darkest of times, it is not the strength of our weapons or the sophistry of our tech that defines us. It is the courage in our hearts, the determination in our souls. It is the willingness to stand, to fight, and if need be, to fall. This is the legacy of the Orion, of Xander and Eliza Thorne. A legacy written in the stars, a promise to future generations. We will not falter. We will not yield. We are humanity, and the stars are our birthright. And should the darkness come again, should the void threaten to swallow us once more, we will remember the lesson of the Orion. We will stand, we will fight, and we will prevail. This is our story, our legacy. The Orion's Gambit. Admiral Xander Thorne, Commander Eliza Thorne, and the valiant crews of the Orion and Orion A, may your sacrifices never be forgotten. May your courage light the way for generations to come. For in your stories, the galaxy will find hope. In your legends, humanity will find its strength. And in your memory, the stars will forever burn bright. As the dust of war settled and humanity began to rebuild, the true impact of the Orion's Gambit became clear. The sacrifices of Xander Thorne, Eliza Thorne, and their valiant crews had not just saved humanity, but fundamentally altered the course of galactic history. With the alien threat diminished and their command structure in ruins, a new era of exploration and diplomacy dawned. The Terran Space Command, once focused solely on defense and survival, now turned its eyes to the stars with a newfound sense of purpose. Leading the charge was a new generation of officers, inspired by the legends of the Orions. Among them was Captain Luca Vega, a young, ambitious officer with a keen tactical mind and a deep fascination with the mysteries of the galaxy. Vega's first command was the TSS Prometheus, a state-of-the-art exploration vessel equipped with the latest in Terran technology. His mission to push the boundaries of known space, to seek out new life and new civilizations, and to bring the light of humanity to the darkest corners of the galaxy. But as the Prometheus ventured deeper into uncharted territory, they soon discovered that the galaxy was far from peaceful. New threats emerged, some born from the ashes of the alien war, others ancient and unknowable. On the planet Zephyrus, a world scarred by the alien occupation, Vega and his crew encountered a faction of alien loyalists, determined to resurrect their fallen empire. Led by a ruthless warlord known only as the Reaper, they had scavenged and rebuilt the remnants of alien technology, forging a new army of terror. The battles were fierce, the stakes high. But Vega and his crew were undaunted, driven by the same spirit that had fueled the Orions. With cunning strategies and bold actions, they beat back the Reaper's forces, liberating Zephyrus and earning the gratitude of its people. But the Reaper escaped, vanishing into the void with a chilling promise to return, stronger and more terrible than ever, and to bring the galaxy to its knees. Vega knew this was only the beginning. The Reaper was out there, plotting, scheming, gathering strength, and he would not rest until the galaxy was under his iron fist. The Prometheus continued its mission, But now, with a new urgency, they searched for allies, for knowledge, for any advantage against the looming threat of the Reaper. They forged bonds with new species, brokered peace between warring factions, and slowly, painstakingly, began to build a coalition of light against the coming darkness. But the darkness was patient, and the Reaper's reach was long. In the shadowed corners of the galaxy, his agents worked to undermine Vega's efforts, sabotaging diplomatic efforts and sowing seeds of discord and doubt. And then came the Battle of Nebula 9, a pivotal moment that would define the course of the coming war. The Prometheus, leading a united fleet of Terran and allied ships, confronted the Reaper's armada in a swirling maelstrom of dust and gas. It was a battle unlike any other. A desperate struggle against an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. Ships clashed and burned, filling the void with the flash of weapons and the screams of the dying. At the heart of the chaos, the Prometheus dueled with the Reaper's flagship, a monstrous vessel bristling with alien tech. Vega and his crew fought with everything they had, pushing their ship and themselves to the limit. In a final desperate gambit, Vega ordered the Prometheus to ram the Reaper's ship, sacrificing his vessel to cripple the enemy. In a blinding flash of light and fury, the two ships collided, the Prometheus hull crumpling but her course true. The impact sent shockwaves through the Reaper's fleet, sowing chaos and confusion. And in that moment of hesitation, the Allied fleet struck, pouring fire into the disarrayed enemy ranks. The battle was won, but at a terrible cost. The Prometheus, the pride of the Terran fleet, was gone, and with her many brave souls. But their sacrifice, like that of the Orions before them, had bought precious time and hope. Vega, rescued from the wreckage by an Allied ship, emerged battered but unbroken. He had lost his ship, but not his resolve. The Reaper had escaped once again, but now the galaxy knew his face, knew his threat. The war would continue. A shadow conflict fought in the dark corners of the galaxy. But wherever the Reaper struck, wherever his darkness threatened to engulf the light, Vega and his allies would be there, ready to stand, to fight, and to sacrifice. For this was the legacy of the Orions, the promise of the Prometheus. A light in the darkness, a beacon of hope in a galaxy besieged. And though the road ahead was long and the battles to come would be fierce, Luca Vega knew that he did not walk alone. He carried with him the spirits of the fallen, the hopes of the living, and the dreams of a galaxy yearning to be free. He was a child of the Orion's legacy, a guardian of the Prometheus promise. And he would not rest, he would not falter, until the Reaper's shadow was banished and the light of peace and freedom shone once more across the stars. Thus begins a new chapter in the saga of humanity's galactic journey, a tale of courage and sacrifice, of darkness and light. The Orion's gambit had shown the way, the Prometheus promise would light the path. And in the heart of every Terran, in the soul of every ally, the fire of hope burned bright. For in the face of the greatest challenges, in the darkest of times, it is the spirit of unity, the power of courage, that will always light the way. The story continues, as it always must. For in the infinite expanse of the galaxy, there are always new horizons to explore, new battles to be fought, new heroes to be forged. And as long as there are those who dare to dream, those who dare to stand, the light of hope will never be extinguished. Onward then, to the stars. Onward to the future. For the legacy of the Orion endures, and the promise of the Prometheus guides the way. The journey is far from over. It's only just begun. As the echoes of the Battle of Nebula 9 faded into memory, Captain Luca Vega and his allies found themselves in a galaxy forever changed. The Reaper's threat, once a distant shadow, now loomed large over every world, every civilization. In the wake of the Prometheus sacrifice, Vega was granted a new command, the TSS Phoenix, a cutting-edge battleship designed specifically to hunt down and destroy the Reaper's forces. Assembled from the best and brightest of the Terran fleet and its allies, the Phoenix crew represented the pinnacle of galactic cooperation and determination. There was Zara Rojo, the brilliant Zephyrian scientist who had personally witnessed the horrors of the Reaper's rule on her homeworld. Nox Varen, the stoic Kailarian warrior whose people had long resisted the alien occupation. And Asha Patel, the prodigious Terran engineer who had helped design the Phoenix's advanced systems. Together, they set out to unravel the Reaper's plans, to strike at his strongholds and disrupt his operations. They followed whispers and rumors, chasing down every lead, every hint of the Reaper's presence. On the industrial world of Forge Sigma, they uncovered a vast weapons factory, churning out armaments for the Reaper's legions. In a daring raid, the Phoenix crew infiltrated the facility, sabotaging its production lines and dealing a heavy blow to the Reaper's war machine. But with every victory, the Reaper seemed to grow more cunning, more elusive. His agents sowed disinformation and discord, turning allies against each other and undermining the fragile unity Vega had worked so hard to build. Tensions reached a breaking point on the diplomatic hub of convergence, where representatives from across the galaxy had gathered to discuss the Reaper threat. As the talks progressed, a series of explosions rocked the conference center, killing dozens and casting suspicion on all sides. In the chaos, Vega and his crew raced to uncover the truth, following a trail of clues that led them to a shocking revelation. The bombings were the work of a rogue Terran faction, hardliners who believed that humanity should stand alone against the Reaper, that allying with alien races was a weakness. Vega confronted the faction's leader, Admiral Thorne, a once respected figure who had grown bitter and disillusioned in the aftermath of the alien war. In a tense standoff aboard Thorne's flagship, Vega pleaded for unity, for reason, but Thorne was unmoved. "You're a fool." "Vega," he sneered, his face twisted with contempt. "The galaxy respects only strength. We must stand alone, or we will fall together." But Vega stood firm, his conviction unshakable. "No, Admiral. It is you who are the fool. The Orions showed us the way. In unity there is strength. In cooperation there is hope. We stand together, or we fall alone." In the end, it was Thorne's own crew who turned against him, moved by Vega's words and the undeniable truth of the Phoenix's cause. Thorne was taken into custody, his faction disbanded, and a fragile peace restored. But the damage had been done. Trust had been eroded, alliances strained. The Reaper, ever opportunistic, seized on the discord, launching a series of bold attacks that pushed the Galactic coalition to the brink. Across a dozen worlds, the battles raged. On the jungle planet of Verdania, Nox Varen led a daring ground assault against a heavily fortified Reaper base. In the asteroid fields of the Shattered Belt, Asha Patel orchestrated a brilliantly unorthodox attack, using the Phoenix's tractor beams to hurl space rocks at the enemy fleet. And in the skies above Zephyrus, where it had all begun, Zara Rho confronted her past and her planet's dark legacy, rallying her people to rise up against the Reaper's oppression. Through it all, Captain Vega was the unifying force, the beacon of hope in the darkness. His courage, his unwavering belief in the power of unity, inspired all those around him. But the Reaper was far from defeated. In a final, desperate gamble, he unleashed his ultimate weapon, a planet killer, a monstrous device capable of annihilating entire worlds. The target was Earth, the heart of the Terran Federation, and the symbol of galactic resistance. As the planet killer bore down on humanity's homeworld, Vega and the Phoenix raced to intercept it, knowing that failure would mean the end of everything they had fought for. In a battle that would echo through the ages, the Phoenix and its allies clashed with the Reaper's armada, fighting not just for Earth, but for the soul of the galaxy itself. Ships burned and crews died, but they fought on, driven by a courage that transcended species and origin. In the end, it was Captain Vega who made the ultimate sacrifice. With the planet killer seconds away from firing, he ordered the Phoenix to ram the monstrous vessel, a suicide run that mirrored the Prometheus final act. As the Phoenix bore down on its target, Vega opened a comm channel to his crew, to his allies, to the galaxy at large. His voice, calm and resolute, echoed across the stars. "This is Captain Luca Vega of the TSS Phoenix. To all those who can hear me, know this: the Reaper may kill me, but he will never defeat us. For every one of us who falls, 10 more will rise to take our place. We are the light in the darkness, the hope in the despair. We are the galaxy, united and unbreakable." With a final, defiant cry, Vega plunged the Phoenix into the heart of the planet killer. In a blinding flash of light, the two vessels vanished, consumed in a conflagration that lit the skies of Earth and seared itself into the memory of every being who witnessed it. The Reaper, his flagship destroyed and his armada in disarray, fled into the void, his power broken and his threat ended. And though the cost had been high, though the sacrifices had been immense, the galaxy had endured. United by the courage of heroes like Luca Vega, like the crews of the Orion and the Prometheus and the Phoenix, they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. In the years that followed, the story of the Orion's Gambit and the Prometheus promise became legend, passed down from generation to generation as a testament to the unbreakable spirit of all sentient beings. And on worlds across the galaxy, statues and memorials rose to honor the fallen hero Xander Thorne, Eliza Thorne, Luca Vega, and all those who had given their lives so that others might live free. For in their sacrifice, they had lit a flame that would never be extinguished, a beacon of hope that would guide the galaxy through whatever trials lay ahead. And so the story ends, but the legacy endures, in the heart of every being who looks to the stars and dreams of a better tomorrow. For this is the true power of unity, the true strength of the galactic spirit, not in the might of our weapons or the reach of our fleets, but in the courage of our hearts and the unbreakable bonds of our fellowship. Together we are stronger than any darkness. Together we are the light that will always shine. This is the promise of the Orion, the legacy of the Prometheus. This is the destiny of the galaxy, our galaxy, and it shines bright, now and forever.